Give me your phone.
Give you my phone?
Who the fuck is this?
What the fuck?
Leave a message.
Welcome back, Warner fam. Today, I'm diving into the 2024 psychological thriller Blood Star. Keep your eyes wide open and stay safe as we venture into this twisted story. The film opens with a chilling scene. A young woman stumbles through the night, blood dripping from her mouth like she's been silenced. Her eyes are wild with fear, each step heavier than the last, exhaustion dragging her down. A police car follows her, its headlights cutting through the dark like a predator stalking its prey. Inside, the sheriff watches, his eyes cold and calculating. She collapses from sheer fatigue, her knees hitting the ground with a sickening thud. The sheriff steps out of the car, his boots crunching on the gravel. He offers her a bottle of water, but it's a cruel gesture. In his hand, he holds a gun with a single bullet. "You have one chance," he says, his voice as emotionless as the night air. "If you survive, you're free." Desperation floods her veins. She loads the gun, her hands shaking. She raises it, aiming at him with trembling eyes. But when she pulls the trigger, it's a mistake. She misses. Without a second thought, the sheriff slams his foot on the gas pedal. The car roars to life, and with a sickening thud, he runs her over, ending her life in an instant. The next day, we meet Bobby, a young woman trying to escape the darkness of her past. She just left her abusive boyfriend after he hit her. Now she's staying with her sister, but deep down, she still loves him, and part of her wants to go back. Her phone rings, and it's her sister, warning her. "Think twice," her sister urges. "If he's hit you once, what else is he capable of?" Bobby shakes her head, convincing herself it won't happen again. But her sister reminds her of their father, the one who hurt them both. Ignoring the warning, Bobby drives off, her thoughts clouded. She stops at a gas station to fill up. As she pumps the gas, Sheriff Bilson pulls up. He leans against his car, casually striking up a conversation. He asks about her phone call, and she answers, "It was my sister." He nods, then opens up about his own brother, the fights they have. Out of nowhere, he offers her a beer. Bobby's stomach turns. His smile feels too forced, his eyes too cold. Something about him doesn't sit right. She quickly declines, her instincts screaming to get away. After paying for gas, Bobby's phone rings again. It's her sister, still begging her not to go back. "Please, Bobby, don't do this," she pleads. But Bobby's frustration boils over. Without another word, she slams her foot on the gas and speeds off. Just as she pushes the car faster, she notices Sheriff Bilson in her rearview mirror, his headlights flashing as he clocks her speed. In an instant, he pulls her over. Trying to stay calm, Bobby grabs her lipstick and quickly applies it, hoping to charm her way out of the ticket. But Sheriff Bilson doesn't care about her looks. He's not interested in her smile. He hands her a $1,000 fine without hesitation. Bobby protests, her voice shaking, but Bilson smirks and offers a deal. "Pay me $300 now and I'll let you go." Bobby's stomach twists. She doesn't have the cash. He tells her to head back to the ATM at the gas station. When she gets there, Bobby's frustration grows. The ATM's been out of order for days. She turns to Blake, the cashier, and vents her anger about the sheriff. Blake's face pales, his voice barely a whisper. Bilson's the only sheriff around. He's been pulling this on other women too. Before Bobby can fully understand what's happening, it hits her like a punch in the gut. This isn't just random. She's in danger. Panic rises in her chest as she decides to run, but it's already too late. Bilson is one step ahead, sitting back with a grin, casually eating chicken wings like he's been expecting her. He holds something in his hand, her phone. He ignores the call from her boyfriend, then calmly watches Bobby's car race away. Without a rush, he stands up, pulls out his sniper rifle, and shoots out her taillight. Bobby doesn't stop, but when she sees the sheriff still tailing her, her heart pounds in fear. She pulls over, knowing there's no way out now. Bilson walks up to her car, a smug smile on his face. "Why'd you try to run?" he asks, his voice dripping with satisfaction. Bobby starts to speak, but before she can, he points out her broken taillight, warning her it's another fine. Suspicion grows inside Bobby. She steps out to check, and that's when she sees it. Bilson shot it himself. Now she knows she's completely trapped. The sheriff orders Bobby to stand by the car as he searches her. His hands move too close, too rough, making her skin crawl. She feels trapped, unable to say a word or fight back. He tells her boyfriend's been calling her non-stop, so he turned off her phone. Then, his voice hardens. He demands money if she wants to leave. He points to the gas station, but adds that if they don't have an ATM, there's a diner up ahead where she can get cash. He'll follow her, take the money, and leave. With no choice, Bobby gets back in her car and drives toward the diner. But as she looks in her side mirror, her heart stops. The sheriff's gun is aimed right at her. Before she can even think, he pulls the trigger. The shot misses, but she swerves to avoid crashing. The tires sink into the sand, trapping her. Panic floods her chest as she dives under the car, holding her breath. She doesn't move until she sees his car drive off, the sound of the engine fading into the distance. Seizing the moment, Bobby grabs her bag and starts walking, her feet dragging in the hot, blistering sun. Hours pass, and the heat feels like it's burning her from the inside out. Her water runs dry, and her body aches with exhaustion. Just as she's about to give up, she sees the diner in the distance and rushes toward it. Inside, her eyes catch a man who carelessly leaves his money on the table before heading to the restroom. Desperation claws at her, and without thinking, Bobby snatches the cash. She hurries to the payphone, her hands trembling as she dials her boyfriend's number. When he answers, Bobby's voice shakes with fear as she explains how a cop is after her, demanding money. But instead of offering support, he accuses her of cheating and making excuses to break up. Furious and hurt, Bobby slams the phone down. She sits down at a booth, her head spinning. A waitress named Amy walks over to take her order, noticing the dirt smeared across Bobby's face. Bobby looks down and quietly admits, "I walked all the way here." Meanwhile, the man returns, his face twisted with anger as he realizes his money is missing. He starts shouting at the diner owner, accusing someone of stealing. The owner, suspicious and confused, calls Amy over, pointing a finger at her, assuming she took it. As Bobby watches the chaos unfold, she looks out the window, and her heart stops. The sheriff is standing there watching her. Panic grips her chest, and her breath catches in her throat. She darts toward the restroom, desperate to escape through the back door, but it's locked. She tries to break the window, but it won't budge. With no choice left, she steps back into the diner, her mind racing. Thinking quickly, she calls the police and gives them a false location, hoping to distract the sheriff. The radio crackles, and soon enough, the sheriff is called away. When Bobby steps outside, she freezes in shock. Her car is sitting right there. The sheriff must have brought it. Even stranger, he had fixed the headlights. Back inside, Bobby watches in silence as Amy is fired. The diner owner refuses to believe she didn't steal the money. Amy, crushed by the accusation, walks out of the diner, her head hanging low. Bobby, feeling a surge of sympathy, approaches her and asks where she lives. Amy mentions a nearby town, and Bobby offers her a ride. They both climb into the car, hoping to leave the nightmare behind. But as they drive, the conversation turns to their families. Amy opens up, revealing that when she was a child, she once found drug bags in her father's jacket. That was the start of her addiction. By the time she was just 10, she was already using needles. Bobby, shocked and horrified, asks about Amy's parents. Amy hesitates before explaining that her father was a drug addict, but her mother was a deeply religious woman who went to church and prayed every day. Over time, though, her mother's mental health began to fade. She started doing strange rituals and eventually became abusive, hitting Amy often. To numb the pain, Amy turned to drugs. Bobby, feeling the weight of her own story, opens up. She confesses that her boyfriend once punched her, and when she reported him, he was arrested, but his sister bailed him out. And now Bobby is going back to him because she still loves him. She pauses, her voice shaking, and says that her sister has always been there for her, protecting her from their abusive father who used to beat her regularly. When Amy asks if he ever hurt her sister, Bobby shakes her head. He never laid a hand on her. Instead, he treated her with a strange kind of affection. Amy falls quiet for a moment before speaking again. "That means your father must have been doing something much worse to her." Bobby's blood runs cold, and the horrifying truth begins to settle in. Her father wasn't protecting her sister out of love. He was hurting her. Overwhelmed with guilt and sorrow, Bobby begins to cry, realizing the depth of her sister's pain that she never saw. Outside the diner, the sheriff watches them leave, his eyes never leaving the road. Amy warns Bobby that this sheriff isn't just strict, he's dangerous. She tells Bobby that many women come to the diner after being harassed by him. Before Bobby can reply, a gunshot rips through the air. Blood splatters across Bobby's face, and she watches in horror as Amy slumps over, a bullet lodged in her head. Bobby is frozen in shock, unable to understand what just happened. She looks outside the window and sees nothing but dust rising in the distance. The sheriff is coming for her. Panicking, Bobby slams her foot on the gas pedal, trying to escape, but the sheriff is relentless, ramming his car into hers. Desperate, Bobby calls her sister, explaining everything. Her sister tells her to report the sheriff immediately. Just then, a truck appears in front of her, blocking her way. Bobby slams on the brakes, gets out, and pleads with the driver for help. The trucker, sensing the danger, pulls out a shotgun and orders the sheriff to drop his weapon. But the sheriff calmly says, "She's the one you should be worried about. She just murdered her friend. Her body is in the car." Bobby screams that he's lying, but the trucker hesitates. In that moment of distraction, the sheriff shoots him dead. Terrified, Bobby jumps back into her car and speeds off, her heart racing. The sheriff drags the trucker's lifeless body aside and mutters, "You should have listened to me first." Then, with cold precision, he gets into his car and resumes the chase. Bobby drives through the empty highway, her hands gripping the wheel, fear closing in on her. Suddenly, she sees headlights behind her. She assumes it's the sheriff, and panic sets in. But as the car overtakes her, she realizes it's someone else. Relief floods her, and she spots a sign for a garage. Without wasting a second, she pulls in, praying for help. Inside, Bobby tries to call for help, but her phone has no signal. That's when she hears footsteps. Grabbing a wooden plank, she hides, ready to defend herself. When the person enters, she swings, only to realize it's just the mechanic. Embarrassed, she apologizes, and he asks what's going on. Bobby explains that the sheriff is after her, and the mechanic, named Ed, calmly listens. He promises to help her and says his boss is a good man, so she'll be safe here for now. As Bobby hides in the garage, she hears a car pulling up. Ed tells her that his boss has arrived. Sensing something isn't right, she asks to use the restroom. Ed directs her to a room, but when she steps inside, she realizes it's not a washroom at all. The room is filled with strange, terrifying equipment scattered everywhere. She also finds multiple IDs of missing women. A chill runs down her spine. Something is very, very wrong. Before Bobby can react, the sheriff appears in the doorway, smirking. He tells her that she's come full circle, right back to his brother's garage. He reveals his twisted ritual. Before killing a girl, he carves a number onto her, marking how far she managed to run. He taunts her, wondering how far she will make it. Just then, Ed sneaks up behind Bobby and knocks her unconscious, leaving her helpless. When Bobby wakes up, she finds herself tied up, helpless. Ed approaches her and starts touching her, but the sheriff quickly scolds him and pushes him away. Trembling with fear, Bobby demands to know why they are doing this to her. The sheriff calmly explains that city girls like her think they're untouchable, but they forget that men will always have control over them. He adds that he does this to teach girls like her a painful lesson. Without hesitation, he pulls out a knife and slices off her tongue, tossing it into the sink. Bobby screams in agony, blood pouring from her mouth, before Ed shoves a cloth inside, causing her to lose consciousness once more. Sometime later, Bobby slowly regains consciousness and realizes her hands are free. She moves carefully forward, only to see the two brothers sitting together, watching cartoons, completely unaware of her escape. Seizing the chance, she darts outside and starts running as fast as she can. The sheriff notices right away and grins. He tells Ed to get ready for the hunt before grabbing his keys. Bobby sprints through the dark, but soon exhaustion takes over. She collapses, gasping for air, barely able to catch her breath. The sheriff finally catches up, kneeling beside her with a smirk. He offers her a bottle of water, but she smacks it away in defiance. Amused, he tosses her a gun and a single bullet, daring her to kill him if she can. One last chance to survive, he says before walking back to his car. With trembling hands, Bobby lifts the gun, points it at her own head, and pulls the trigger. A loud gunshot rings out through the air, and she collapses, lifeless. The sheriff storms over, furious, yelling that this isn't how the game is played. But then Bobby's eyes snap open, full of determination. Before he can react, she drives a knife straight into his stomach. Blood pours out as he stumbles back in shock. It turns out she only fired in the air and faked her death. Wasting no time, she rushes to his car, searching for the keys, but they're missing. Just as she tries to run on foot, the sheriff grabs her from behind, his hands tightening around her throat. Struggling to breathe, Bobby's fingers brush against a rock. With all her strength, she smashes it against his head. The sheriff falls to the ground, badly injured. Bobby quickly grabs the car keys and jumps in, but just as she's about to drive away, she notices he's still alive. Anger fills her eyes. She grips the wheel tight, slams the gas, and runs him over, crushing him to death. Even though she's free, Bobby knows her revenge isn't complete. She heads back to the garage, pulls out a container of ice from the freezer, and places her severed tongue inside, hoping a doctor can reattach it. But then, Ed appears, demanding to know what she's doing. Without hesitation, Bobby grabs a metal rod and rams it down his throat, killing him instantly. Before leaving, she grabs all the IDs of the missing girls, proof of the sheriff's crimes. Her phone rings. It's her boyfriend. She looks at the screen for a moment, then throws the phone away. She's done with him. Without looking back, she drives toward the city, leaving the nightmare behind forever. What did you think about it? Let us know in the comments. So, what movie should we recap next? If you liked this, hit subscribe and turn on notifications for more recaps. Thanks for watching. See you next time on Warner Movie Recaps.